So when we first walk in the gate here, you'll see we used a pallet as like a tool kind of rack to hold all of our outdoor tools. And this peach tree is one of my favorites. It's called Bonanza Peach, and it is about 4 or 5 years old. It's a miniature dwarf peach, but it puts off big peaches. And right now, if you look, it's loaded with peaches. They probably have about 100 or 150 peaches on this guy. Look at my hand up here. And they'll be ripe in about, I would say, about a month. And this guy's probably my favorite peach tree because he's so cute looking, and they thrive in the desert. I think these Bonanza miniature peaches do really nicely here. This bush is called a netleaf hackberry. It's a native. I always try to include as many native bushes and trees as I possibly can because the natives don't need extra water. They can be edible. They attract all the beneficial insects of the area. And when we plant native trees, bushes, and vines, whatever we have that's native, it helps the ecosystem of our city. So there's a netleaf hackberry which puts off little edible fruits. Next to the netleaf hackberry is a fig tree called a brown turkey fig, which I planted as just a stick. It's a $20 stick. And now 3 years later, it's looking pretty good. And it's starting to come back from winter dormancy. So it'll have fruit on it in about 2 months. And this guy is a eucalyptus tree called a bookshelf leaf eucalyptus. It's an Australian tree that can be used like in a steam room to help cleanse the immune system and the cardiovascular system, things like that. But it also has a purpose, which is these flowers here. In about a month from now, this guy will bloom flowers. And these flowers are one of the most important attractors of pollinating insects like bees that I have. So not only is this tree a trellis for my loofah vine, but it's also one of the trees that attracts all the beneficial bugs like bees. And I have the arbor here, which I'm growing grapevines over. And we have the little cute miniature clusters starting to come off these guys, and they'll be ready in about a month or 2. And you can also eat the grapevines, the actual leaves. Here's another cluster. So we just prune this guy. We keep pruning him to shape the trellis nicely, to shape the arbor. And it just adds, a delicious component to the yard, which also looks aesthetically pleasing. If we walk through here, you guys will see the Jabuticaba. And this guy was planted about 1.5 years ago from my friend Seamus O'Leary. There's a whole video on my channel of me planting this Jabuticaba, which is also called Brazilian grape. And he's doing very nicely here because the microclimate here has been changed by me. When I first bought this house, there was nothing here. It was just a dirt lot. And this was the hottest corner of my yard. This corner right here, if you stood in for 5 minutes, you would die. Okay. But now, thanks to this ironwood tree I planted, this ironwood tree is in its 6th year growing with me, one of the first trees I planted. He's doing fantastic. He's breaking up the wind and the sun. I have this white fruiting mulberry tree here. That's a female one, which means it does not hurt anybody's allergies. Only the males hurt the allergies. So I don't have any male trees. I just have the female fruiting ones. So I have this fruiting female white mulberry here, and it provides a dense microclimate for the Jabuticaba and my bananas. All these banana trees right here are growing very nicely because they get a little bit of sun. They can grow into the light, but they're protected from the scorching desert sun because of the parent trees above them. So for those of you that want to do this kind of edible landscape, I would highly suggest the first thing is find out what are the 5 or 10 fruit trees that grow the biggest and the fastest. And plant those first because they'll be the infrastructure that will protect the smaller, more fragile ones like stone fruit. So don't start with your stone fruits. Peaches, plums, apricots, don't start with those. Start with your mulberries, your natives, like mesquite, palo verde, the acacia shoestring, acacia willows, maybe the desert willows or eucalyptus. And those will be your infrastructure trees that will bring life to your bananas and your jabuticabas and your plums and your citrus. Behind you guys over here is a quince tree, and I'm finding that quince is a fruit that does very well in the desert. Quince is kind of like an apple. It's like a fuzzy apple. See it there? When they're ready, they'll be about, I would say, 6 or 7 times bigger than this. This tree is small, but it becomes loaded with quince fruit, quince apple. You can use them in pies or jams or desserts. They're an amazing fruit, and they do better, in my opinion, than apples do. And this guy is just loaded with probably over 50 or 60 quince this year that are all just babies right now as they grow bigger and bigger. If we keep walking this way, we'll find my apricot tree here in the back is a Katy apricot, and this one has little guys on it that are just starting out. I have this tree called a pineapple guava, also called a feijoa. And this one is been in the ground for about 4 years. The flowers, like this, you can eat the petals, and they're nutritious and edible. Kind of like sweet, like dessert. And if you let them pollinate, they'll turn into actual feijoas or pineapple guava fruit. This pineapple guava is bringing protection to this brand new avocado that I planted here. And this one I got from Summer Winds Nursery is called a Jim Bacon. And this is a B-type avocado that will help to bring more fruit to my A-type avocados. This guy's looking pretty good. Look how he's protected. He's in a nice little gully created by the pineapple guava and the quince. And if we walk past the jelly palm, it's called a pinto palm or jelly palm. Come on in. I got these from Exotica Nursery. And these jelly palms put off a orange kind of date fruit that tastes kind of pineapple-like. I have a B-type avocado. So this guy is one of my Aravipa avocados. And the cool thing about this tree is that I've literally covered it on video from my YouTube channel from the beginning when I first planted it 2 years and 3 months ago. So it was a 1 foot tall avocado tree. And in the last 2 years and 3 months, it's grown to this. And it's this part, but it's also this part. This is all one tree here behind me. Can you guys see it? It's all one tree. And he flowered this year for the first time, but the flowers didn't set. But next year, I'm hoping that they will. Even the Bible tells you to don't let a tree fruit in its first year or two. You know what I mean? It's healthy for the tree to let it grow. So this guy is growing vigorously. He's probably, I'm 6'1", 6'2". My wingspan is over 8 feet. I would imagine he's pushing close to over 11 feet now. This will be the first summer that I do not shade him. So we'll see what happens. So come back to my channel here to find out if he survives summer with no shade. Next to this guy, I've got a Cuban white guava from Seamus O'Leary. I got this avocado also from Seamus O'Leary. And I have my pond here full of my fish. This was just a clay lot. I built the whole pond myself by hand. Of course with some friends sometimes. Friends always help you out. Of course I don't eat the koi. They're my friends and my children. Because I don't have human children, that's why I have these koi. I got them all for free, all rescued and adopted. And they poop in the water and they eat the mosquito larvae, so there's no mosquitoes in my pond. The water's pretty clear. The fish survived great. I don't put anything in the water. All it is the plants filtering the water and the fish pooping in it. And then I use the water sometimes to water my tropical trees with because that fish poop water is very nutritious for them. So a pond, a front yard or backyard pond, is a way better source of water and use of water than a grass lawn. If you guys want a pond expert in town, go check out my man Paul Holdeman, the Pond Gnome. This corner of my yard is also called the tropical section because I planted so much abundance of tropical and subtropical style trees that it's created its own microclimate that's warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. So if we go this way, we have a baby fig that my friend Todd, he rooted for me. It's called a Diana fig, brand new one. This one has been in the ground for 2 years, called a Tiger Panache Fig. It puts off green stripy figs that are really delicious. And this one over here is in year 3 or 4, and this one's the Black Mission fig that's doing really well. So we have a little fig forest back here. Black Mission, Tiger Panache, Diana fig, next to an amazing lemon tree that's my mom's lemon tree she gave to me when I bought this house. She told me that, she's like, Jacob, when I die, cremate me and put my ashes into the tree, and then when you're in your garden you'll be able to talk to me in the afterlife. And I'm like, Mom, that's so sweet, but then your ashes will become minerals for the tree. It will suck those minerals up and fruit, and I'll be eating lemons that were fertilized with your cremated body, and that's gross. So anyways, my mom's very sweet. She's my gardening inspiration. This lemon tree is her lemon tree. And over here I have a collection of papayas growing in my backyard. Yes, papayas. They grow great in Phoenix if you give them the proper microclimate. So these ones are ripening from the bottom up, Tai Nung number 2, and they'll just keep ripening every week until they all go. This one's a shorter one. Over here, this one, believe it or not, is only 1 year and 5 months old from seed. About 1.5 years old from seed. And look at how many papayas. It's just fully loaded. And these guys are ripe right now. I can actually pick it off And I could just do it in my hands, just kind of, it's so soft and so ripe, just tear into it. And it's so juicy. Look at the juice coming out of there. Just open that up and it's just beautiful on the inside. Papaya is so good for your digestive system. They're so delicious. My mom would put a little bit of lemon on them. She would chill them. That's fantastic. Grown from seed. If you walk this way, you'll see this guy is actually 3 years old, and all his papayas are at the top. He's a big guy, multi-shrunked now. And then down below is the new generation I just planted. This guy's brand new one. I just planted him thanks to the my friend Dr. Rosenberg from the Arizona Rare Fruit Growers Plant Sale, azrfg.org. And this guy's in his like 3rd or 4th month. And so after about a year, he'll be as big as these guys, hopefully. And once he gets about this tall, I'll pull the shade away. I get this 30% shade cloth from Arizona Bag Company, and it's a great way to introduce the new trees into your home landscape until they're established. This is a Carambola or starfruit tree as well. I've got a new section down here, a new section of mango tree. This one's called Antonio Mango Tree. This is a blood orange I just planted. And this is a brand new desert gold peach we just lopped off at the bottom. And it's got all this new growth in the past month and a half or so. And if we walk this way, you guys can see I have more subtropicals over here. I have a Mexican papaya getting its fruits for the summertime. We've got a collection of bananas like Goldfinger and Vietnamese Giants and Rajapuris and the Namwas. And bananas are really interesting. Here, I'll show you. This one's flowering right now, just today. So all 3 of these, or all 4 of these bananas are one plant. They grow in one root system called a corm. And this one here has put a flower out just yesterday. And look how that flower looks really amazing. It'll put off all its bananas off of that. And then once this guy fruits, this one will die. And the baby over here will continue on the next generation. So the corm keeps getting more and more mature. It keeps putting off more banana trees every year. If you guys can pan behind me, you can see how dense my backyard is here with the guavas, the papayas, the bananas. This is a lychee. We've got the ice cream bean growing, which is doing really well so far. And we have this river that I put in that wraps around my property, which feeds and oxygenates the fish and the water in the pond. This mango tree right here is called a lemon zest mango, and I found a few people in town growing these. They do pretty well, the lemon zest. We have a newly planted date palm I just put in the ground. Brand new pup that's just stabilizing. This is an ice cream bean tree that has been in the ground now for about 1.5 years, and he survived the winter just fine. But this one over here has been in the ground for 2 years. Come with me, my treeple. And this one is doing very well. He's been planted under the canopy of the papayas, and so he gets diffused light. And he's got a nice, massive looking canopy now. I keep pruning him. And I love ice cream bean, and I didn't think you can get it to work in Phoenix, but since I've stuck with it, I've stayed consistent. I put a ton of mulch in the bottom. I do what's called like chop and drop, where I just pruned this off yesterday, and I drop it down below, so that becomes the mulch of the next month. And since it's warmer back here because of the density of foliage, he stayed alive through the winter and is doing pretty good right now in his 2nd or 3rd year in the ground. This is a guava tree that I planted from Greg Peterson's pop-up tree nursery at urbanfarm.org, and this one was this tall when I planted it. There's a video on my channel when I planted it with my my nephew-in-law Grant, and this one is gotten huge in the last 3 years, and last year fruited about 40 fruits, and they're white guava. They were amazing. And this one over here is a white guava from the Arizona Rare Fruit Growers next to a pink guava. And I noticed earlier today that he had dropped one of his pink guavas on the ground, which is oftentimes where I find the ripe ones, on the ground. So let's bite into it and see what it looks like on the inside. It's pink and nice. These guys taste so good. They're definitely a weird fruit. They taste unique, and they're an acquired taste, but once you start to eat them, you start to love them. Definitely my top 13 guavas. Do so well here in the Phoenix area. And this pink guava I got from Seamus O'Leary called a Ruby Supreme, I think. It's a fantastic variety. I can already feel myself getting stronger. Next to the guava is a sugar apple. which is doing pretty good. He kind of usually goes semi-deciduous in the wintertime, but then grows back in the summer. And I have an Adamoya over here. Check it out. This is a royal Poinciana called a flamboyana, and a curry tree which grows the curry spice, and it's flowering at the top. But this Adamoya has been in the ground for 2 years. And this year, for the first time, he's growing tons of flowers. Look at all the flowers over here. They look like little bells on the underside, and they're just starting to come out. There's over 100 flowers on my Adamoya, and I'm so excited because this guy didn't get covered this last winter. I give him no shade in the summer, and yet he's doing great. And look at, there's like 50 flowers up top there on that branch. I'm really excited if I can get Adamoyas to fruit in Phoenix with no cover. Could you imagine the possibilities and the fame that would surround me? And then down here underneath the canopy of the Poinciana is a Surinam Cherry. This Surinam Cherry, I never water him. He just gets residual runoff water from the Poinciana. And I just planted this guy, which is really one of my favorites, called a Palo Blanco. You've heard of the Palo Verde. This one's a Palo Blanco, and the trunk is kind of ashy, kind of like a rainbow eucalyptus, but only white, different shades of white in color. So this is 50 Shades of White. That's the new book by Jake Mace, 50 Shades of White. What's that book going to be about? Comment down below. But this Palo Blanco is a native deserty tree that does really well. And I'll show you guys a few other desert trees on this tour today that are edible right now that are fantastic, like the Palo Verde.